So good morning, everyone, and happy Sabbath. And it's a real privilege and pleasure to be with you. Let's just start with a little geography test. Yes, where is Cuba? Do we all know where Cuba is? Is it in the Gulf of Mexico or next to the Gulf of America? That's your first question. Trick question. We shouldn't ask questions like that on Sabbath morning. But Cuba is in the Caribbean, and it's sort of bang in the middle of your screen there. The way to think of it is it's like England. It's the same length as England and Scotland, but somebody sat on it and squashed it, and then it's sort of fallen over. So that's the way I think of Cuba. Right? It's that long island bang in the middle. And in March, let's see if this thing works. There we go. There is Cuba in a little more detail. Up on the north coast, you have Havana, the capital. And it was my first time this year in March. We went to Holguin, which is down in the south side, and you can see it there. It's actually, you've got the name Holguin, it's with a H, but they don't pronounce the H. And that's one of their largest cities. And this year, our Care for Cuba team, this was our group, we went out there to do evangelism for 1 week. And this is what I would like to share with you, a little spin-off from what we do there.
Yeah. So this group goes from Andrews University, correct?
Yeah. So every year we take a group out. You can see the size. We typically take about 30. We have a waiting list. We have more students who want to go than we can take, which is always good. And then there's typically a couple of faculty, and then we have some staff who come along as well.
Yeah. So you said it's a spin-off, what you're going to talk about today. It's not just the mission and evangelism trip.
No. So what I would like to do is just share with you sort of a concern as we are out there, which sort of extends beyond this project, and which a group of the students, when we were out there, we were just a little shocked as to what's going on. And the Lord laid it upon our hearts to do something about this. Okay. Right? So just to give you some context, Cuba has about 11 million inhabitants. It has about 40,000 Adventists according to the yearbook, 384 churches. So just to give you some context, Michigan has about 10 million inhabitants, and we have about just under 27,000 members. So they have a bit more than us, and they have around about 200 pastors and Bible workers. And that's the group I would like to talk to you specifically about. Yeah. But maybe before I do that, Lidvar, just to show everyone the type of thing that we were doing. So when we go out with Care for Cuba, we spread out into groups, typically of 3 and 4 students, and then we take under our wing one of the churches. So this March, we ministered to, I think it was about 9 churches. And our students and ourselves, that's me, you can see me on the right. You don't recognize me because you can't see my tie. But on the right, that's me, and Bosco is translating for the appeal. And this is the church in Acount. And what you can't see is that they don't have air conditioning. The windows are all open, and there's almost as many people sitting outside the church listening as there were listening. Yeah. And we were doing evangelistic meetings every night, right? All our students preaching. And as a result, we baptized just round about 350, right? Which was, it's thrilling. It's thrilling to do this, right? It really is. And the sermon I preached there that morning was probably the most political sermon I've ever preached. Because when you go to Cuba, it's like communism on steroids, right? It really is. And the way that the political system inhibits the capacity of people to develop was just a shock. I was a student missionary in Eastern Europe just after communism fell, and it was vastly different from what you see in Cuba.
So
Very different.
What ways I mean, not all of us have experienced communism.
Just a simple thing would be this. When I was a student missionary in Poland, right, they all had little vegetable gardens. Right? I mean, you know America is a rich country because just go to South Bend and drive around the suburbs and nobody's got vegetable gardens, right? So you know we've got more money than sense, right? Whereas in Poland, communist country, you know, up to the 1990s, they all had little vegetable gardens. In Cuba,
family, you mean?
Each family.
Yeah.
In Cuba, you grow your own vegetables, you've got to give everything to the state, which as a result, nobody grows everything. Anything. So it's a system which completely sort of demotivates people to do anything. They keep all the best stuff for the tourists, and bearing in mind that there's an embargo on US travelers there at the moment for tourism, we could go because we are a religious group. If you have a cow and you kill a cow, you will get more time in prison than if you kill a human. Right? You know, it's like a bizarre system that they've got out there, and it completely demotivates people to actually take initiative. And Christianity gives you an impulse. Things can get better. Right? Christianity is an amazing motivator because we believe in a God who changes bad situations, and that's culturally an amazing cultural meme to have in your culture.
Yeah.
Right? So we're giving them hope. You can see that, right? And you probably can't see it, but just behind Bosco's head was one of the local policemen who we met, who came out. This was the church which I helped support the most. We have 2 of our students there. It's in a very poor barrio, and it's actually sort of a house between 2 others. The visitors were allowed in the church, and all the members had to sit outside because we didn't have room for them, right? And it was, this was the baptism. We baptized this lady. It actually took us probably 3 or 4 minutes. She was terrified of getting down so low because the water was only this deep. It was essentially in a paddling pool, right? So that, you know, they don't have baptistries. The lady on the left is the Bible worker, and she was an amazing lady. She lives literally 50 yards from the church, right? And she was the one who set it up. So the challenges, we've mentioned some of them, very poor electricity. So my sympathy was mostly for the students who are looking after the children, because imagine you've got 50 children to look after one evening, and they were bringing them in buses, and you could hear them screaming with joy at the idea of getting to the meetings from about half a mile away. Right? I've never heard kids screaming like that, right? But they would bust them in, and then you'd have your activities planned, and then suddenly everything would go dark when the electricity would you know, they had intermittent electricity.
You're gonna watch 50 kids,
yeah,
and you don't see them.
So no point in having a PowerPoint for your sermon. Always have it written out on paper, right? And written on your heart, right? That's the best thing. So these are some of the challenges. These were the cars that they drive us around in. I didn't see a single Tesla, right? Not a single Tesla. A car like that was owned by a taxi driver, and that would cost them about $10,000, right? To buy that car, $10,000.
What would that be in kind of, what do they make a month?
So, this is really what I want to share with you. So I've just given you a bit of context. $10,000 to buy a car, right? These are 3 of our pastors and a Bible worker, and we got to know them very well, right? The government limits earnings to $20 a month. $20 a month. Now just let that sink in. And bearing in mind that buying basic foodstuffs, right? So in the church I showed you the picture with everyone, we paid $500, right, for a potluck, and we fed probably about 300 people, and the tomatoes and the vegetables were as expensive there as they are to buy them here, right? And you are living on $20. Now, what you see is a lot of people just hang around. So you imagine you're a hairdresser, you cut your 5, 10 heads that you have to do, and you've done enough to keep the government happy. You're not getting any extra income for cutting more people's hair, right? So you just do nothing. It's like the whole system drags you down. Now, a lot of people survive because if you're the hairdresser, you do your cutting in the morning for the government, and then you do what you can for yourself in the afternoon, right? So there's sort of like an underground economy. But imagine you're a pastor. You can't do that. You can't say, right, I'm working in the morning for the government, and I do my Bible studies and, whatever. And then in the afternoon, you can pay me for the extra Bible studies I do. You can't do it. If you're a pastor, it's very, very hard to have a job on the side. Really hard. So our pastoral families are really, really struggling. We have, as I mentioned, about 200 pastors and Bible workers there. And in the last 5 years, about a third of them have left. Right? Now, you imagine what that does if you lose a third of your pastoral team. And these are mature pastors who are the backbone of the church there. Right? And this was the concern that we had. They were asking, can you help us? We take over bikes. We collect bikes and take them over. So they are cycling around their churches. But you imagine you've got a district spread out. They need cars, right? They really do. And so they were almost begging us, and you know what's happened to the price of second-hand cars here, which has shot up, right? And it's really, really difficult for them over there. The lady, Leticia, bottom right, an amazing woman, just full of the Lord's Spirit. She drives around on a little moped, which she's had to take out quite heavy debt to get it, but there's no other way of getting around, right? So, a number of us are helping her. So our project is this. They can earn $20 a month, and our goal is to double the pastor's wages, right? Now, if one of you came to me and said, oh, Dr. Vine, you're a seminary professor. I would love to double your wages. Now, do you know how I would react? How do you think, Lidva?
I think you would accept.
Yes, I would. I'd give you an immediate A for your Greek exam, right? I would give you a hug and a kiss, right? Appropriate hug and an appropriate kiss, I should add, right? $20. I went on Amazon. Gentlemen, if you've been buying clothes for your wives, that top right one costs $20. You know she's not going to wear it, right? You could save yourself the $20, right? Books, right? How many of us have bought books? That book cost $20. Yes, how many of us have got World War II books which we've never read? Right? We buy books and we never read them, right? Exercise equipment, those little weights, $20. We've all got exercise equipment which we never use. That's why it's all on Facebook for sale, right? My appeal is this, right? $20 can really make a difference for these pastoral families. What they told us is that they live in real hardship, right? Just getting toothpaste and toothbrushes. That's what we take over for them, right? It's like a luxury item, toothpaste, right?
So you bring them stuff when you go there?
So when we go over, we take 2 maletas, 2 big suitcases. One is full of medical supplies, basic stuff, aspirin, stuff like that. And then one full of clothes, and we leave that. And then we take what we use in our hand luggage, right? And we leave everything over there. So that's how bad it is. There's a trade embargo on Cuba. I almost thought of Chicago there, but forgive me. There is a difference. There is a difference. Come and see me afterwards if you want to know what the difference is. So what they shared was that a lot of their children, they see the hardship their parents are going through as pastoral couples, and they don't want to enter the ministry, right? So what we would like to do is just to change that narrative and say, look, your brothers and sisters, we care for you, right? And $20 a month, if there's 200, that means I've already started by supporting a couple of them, right? It hasn't changed my life dramatically, losing that money, right? And most of us wouldn't know if $20 went missing from our paycheck. But you've got the satisfaction that you have doubled the household income of one pastoral family. Yeah. So that's the proposition. And a group of students, we are working on this. We've made videos, we're putting it out on Facebook, but we would like to bring it before you as well.
So how can you, or we, donate to you? How can we?
So we have just given Dr. Ortiz in the seminary, he's just taken over about $5,000 that we've raised, right? And do you know how
he brought the money physically?
He has to take it, and then what they do you know how they distribute the money, the wages? They literally, the conferences, take out the money and drive around the pastors, right? And hand it out. That's how they give them their wages, right? Because the banking system, if you use the banking system, half of it goes missing. The government takes it, right? So we literally are delivering it, sort of almost by hand, right, to the pastors. So if you would like to help us, we have the Care for Cuba website. Just Google Care for Cuba and it will come up. And if I can just have 2 minutes of your time just to run through this. So up on the right-hand side, it says donate. If you click on the donate, right, you will then have that little blue where the arrow thing is. You click on that, and it will take you to the landing page for Andrews University. So we're doing this through Andrews University. Yeah. We don't have time and effort to set up something totally separate, but we collect it.
The giving page at Andrews.
That's right. Andrews collects a lot of money for many, many different initiatives, and this is one of our initiatives. So you click on the donate link up at the top, and then that blue where the arrow is, and this takes you to a standard page which Andrews has for giving. It takes you to the Care for Cuba, and you've got a drop-down menu where I think it says, does that say pastors and Bible workers? Where the arrow is? I think it does, doesn't it? So you want to click on that, and then the money that we are giving will go specifically for this cause. We support many things in Cuba. We support summer camps and a whole series of things. So this is specifically for the pastors and for the Bible workers. And then you can set up an account, or you can just do it as a guest. You'll have the guest login. I've clicked on it already, so you can't see it. And then you want to fill out your details. This will take you 2 minutes to do, right? The advantage of this is that at the end of the year, you'll get one of those forms, for your tax, where you can claim it against your tax. So you fill out your details, and then once you've done that, you'll be asked, just put in $20, and, we would rather have $20 repeated every month than a lump sum of $100. We pastors need money on an ongoing basis, so we're looking for committed donors. Yeah. Right? And we're prayerfully asking for you to make that commitment. $20, if you can do 2 or 3, praise the Lord. And you can set up a reoccurring payment. And that will add to the account, and then we get the money over there and into the pastor's hands and the Bible workers. So that's the little project that we're doing. We're looking after our brothers and sisters. I know we're facing the issue that there are many parts of the world which face similar situations. But when you go over there, there is a spiritual oppression with the system, right? And, my appeal is let's at least make one area of their lives a little easier. They're fighting really a demonic system, right? So that's our little project.
We need to start somewhere.
We need to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So, Thank you, Lidva. I have to run and teach Sabbath school.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be crying if I don't get to them
know.
quick.
There's the contact information if you need to talk more with Dr.
Yes, and
Wine.
Dr. Ortiz as well,
Yeah.
Fernando Ortiz.
Yeah.
And we thank you for the help that you've given to Care for Cuba. Village Church has been extremely generous, right? And we really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for presenting to us.
Yeah, thank you.